I'm Matt, and this is Procrastination Garage. Welcome. It's been a lazy Sunday, but I figured I ought to get out here for a little bit of time. It's after 2 o'clock, so I'm not going to spend much time out here. Anyway, let's finish this project up here. So what I mentioned yesterday, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut a line straight across there and put a piano hinge on there so I can come in from the bottom, and then I will do the same for that one there. So I'm going to go ahead, mark this, and then we're going to bring it over here, and we're going to cut it, and then we're going to hinge it, and then we're going to put it back on here, and then we're going to go up and we're going to grab the next one, do the same thing, right? I'll show you. I just figured out the leftover nuts and bolts I had, they go right there. So they basically secure this plywood and metal frame to these pieces here. I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to use them, but it's good to know what the nuts and bolts are for. So far we have not looked at the instructions at all, so I figure we've done pretty good. Oh, another project update. I thought that this plywood was bolted down. They riveted it. Those bastards. That's going to make my life a lot more difficult. Well, hell, I thought I had my depth adjusted right, but obviously I didn't. So we did the second time. So now it's cut. Let's trial fit this back up there, and then we'll think about putting a hinge on it. So sometimes it's cool to have kind of a strange mom. This was about 15, 20 years ago. I got a gift for my birthday or Christmas or something of piano hinges. I mean a bunch of them. I got like 20 of them. And these are 10-inch ones in length. And I didn't ask for them or anything. She just said, well, you know, I figured that at some point you'll probably want them for something. And she's right. Every once in a while I do have a project where I need them. So thank you, Mom. Hope you're looking down and laughing that I'm using them today. So I've got 2 sets of 2. And then I even found some screws, brand new screws in my stash. So we'll get this one done up. Okay, I gotta confess, a bit of poor planning on that one. I should have measured. I was just using my finger, and I thought I cleared, and I did not. There's still enough room to get a finger in there and open it, but ideally, that would not be that way. Now, if I wanted to really get tricky, I could grind that metal out there, but we're not doing that. So this one here, other than putting some rivets back in it, or actually I think what I may do is just use some small carriage bolts. This one's done. So I'll go ahead and do that one, and I won't show you until I'm done. Houston, we got a problem. All right, I didn't think this through quite well enough. So what's happening is when I'm trying to push up on this panel here, it's catching on the safety rail by about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. The end panel, which swings in, doesn't appear to be a problem. It's just on either side. And it's only going to be a problem on this top one because that's where the safety rail is going to be. So that one down there opened just fine. So the easiest thing to do is just going to be to make a cut right along here and just thin this piece of plywood up. Not a huge deal, but we won't have any support underneath it unless I do something else. And I've got an idea on that. So looking at the bottom here, there's no reason why I couldn't put a piece of angle iron like right there and bolt that through or rivet it or something. And it doesn't even need, this is very heavy duty angle iron. I'm sure I have some better stuff, or I can even buy some thinner stuff. Doesn't need much. I mean, it doesn't need to be any stronger than what this is, which isn't much. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to take this piece of plywood down here on the bottom, since it's the easiest one to get. Well, either or, it doesn't really, well, either way, those safety rails have to come back off again. Damn it. All right, let me do it. Solving one problem leads to another problem. So here's my solution. I cut a couple of these pieces here. I'm screwing them to there, and you'll see in a minute why. All right, I like it. That's going to make life a lot nicer working up in the rafters versus that ladder right there. That's a scary thing to be on, let me tell you. So one thing I just learned, I just bent this here. This is what the plywood comes over and lays on. Well, So anyway, I'll need to straighten that. Not the end of the world. I'll straighten it, and at some point maybe want to add a brace to that, because I don't know. Anyway, I guess what I need to do is when I'm climbing up there, as soon as I get to this level, I need to close that and be standing on that. And I was taking a shortcut, and well, it bit me a little bit, but that's all right. Anyway, super happy with it. Now we just got to put it to use. And my first project, see that light up there? Every one of these 2x4s that comes across, I don't know if you can tell, if you can see them, the ladder's leaning against one. There's one right here, there's one right there, and then there's one above the garage door there. All of those need, where are they? Some of these Harbor Freight lights right over here. So I have enough to do this bay right here. They're like 50 bucks a piece, so it's going to take a while before I get them all in here. But before I put the boat back, I want to get those in there. And the main reason for the scaffolding is because when I was going up on this 2x4 here, that thing, when you get out in the middle of it, is kind of real flexy. And somewhere, I think you can see right up there, see if I can get a zoom in on it. And I've lost it. There's a knot in there. Where am I looking at? I can't find, yeah, right? That one? Yeah, there's a knot right in that area there that I'm afraid is going to cause that one to break, and then I'd be falling that way, and that wouldn't be a good thing. So anyway, done for now. It is, you can see a clock on the wall over there, just coming up on 6 o'clock on Sunday. It's time to pack it in. I guess I didn't show what those were for. So after cutting the plywood, I found the door still wouldn't open because it was catching on those nuts and bolts right there, because that thing is a little tweaked and was bent in. So I just put this little piece here that just kind of holds it out, one on each side. So now the door has plenty of room to swing. So done deal. All right, let's take a little break. And do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell all your friends. Thank you very much. It's Monday afternoon around 2 p.m. and it's time to revisit this boat cover. So you may recall last fall I put a new boat cover on and went to great length to kind of make it so water wouldn't puddle on it or anything, and I wasn't 100% successful. You see on the far side there, you can see where some water had been sitting there. But obviously the big problem is this hole right here. When I first saw it, I assumed something had hit it, like a branch off this tree or something. But no, that's not what happened. I don't know what caused that hole. So what did we do? We went on Amazon and bought another cheap boat cover. You know what they say about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You know, a really good boat cover is, you know, probably a couple $100, and this old boat's hardly worth that much. I don't want to spend that much money on a cover. On the other hand, if I keep buying $50, $60 covers, it won't be long before I paid for it. But anyway, we did it. We bought another one off Amazon. Spent a little more money. Hopefully it's a little bit better quality, but it seems to be about the same. So I'm going to go ahead and swap it. You don't need to see it, because if you want to see it bad enough, you can go look at the last video on it. I'll just show you when I'm done. I've got the cover off, and I figured for any of you new to the channel and didn't know what the boat looked like, there it is. I kind of call it the rat boat. Needs some help, but it was running when parked. The carburation on it's not quite right. It won't go from idle up to get it up on a plane, but once you get to a certain RPM, it'll get up on a plane and go full out, no problem. So it's kind of a work in progress. Hasn't been in the water in 8 years, maybe more. I keep saying next summer is the summer, just haven't found the time. So anyway, let me get the new cover on. All right, never mind. This cover is way better than the one that I just removed. This one is way thicker. That other one was the thinnest material I'd ever seen, and I thought this one was probably going to be the same, but no, this is more in line with the one that I had on before, which I bought at Walmart and lasted probably 4 or 5 years or more. So I think this one will do much better. I'm much happier with it. So bring on winter. It's Monday afternoon, about 3:30, quarter to 4. Thursday we've got a big project coming up, and I'm hoping this chainsaw will be of use in that project. So earlier in the year I bought a DeWalt weed whacker, 60 volt, and the idea was that I would then buy a 18-inch chainsaw to go along with it, so they would share the battery, and I'd have 2 batteries and 2 chargers. So I went ahead and bought this at Home Depot the other day. I ordered it online actually, and it was supposed to be delivered, I think I ordered on a Friday, it's supposed to be delivered on a Monday, and it showed up on Saturday. Maybe I ordered on Thursday. But real impressed with Home Depot's delivery. Anyway, let's tear into it. Owner's manual, don't need that. Charged battery. Well, it works. Okay, so like the DeWalt Weed Whacker, it's heavier than I expected. A lot of that weight is in the batteries. Those batteries are not lightweight. How does it compare with my 24-inch saw? I don't know. I'll have to get it up here and do a side-by-side on weights. What I can tell you already I don't like, you have a safety thumb switch here that you have to hold down when you hit the trigger. I do not like that. So how do we bypass it? Okay, the fix was fairly easy. Just went through my miscellaneous assortment of spare nuts. Found one that fits. It's a pretty heavy spring-loaded. I think I will take a little drop of super glue and put it in there and hope that holds it better. And if that doesn't work, I will drill a hole and put a pin through there to keep it lodged in place. Apparently I was ripped off. Supposedly there's supposed to be a little wrench to get at the chain there. And it's nothing fancy. It's just a flat little piece of metal with a cutout in it. So no real loss, but it's not in the packaging anywhere. Luckily, a standard chainsaw tool works just fine. Let's open it up and see what that looks like in there. The reason I wanted to look is I wanted to see what this gear looked like, because I read some reviews on this chainsaw, and honestly, they weren't really good. But the reviews I read, it mainly was concerned with the chain coming off. And the one thing I'd seen was that on some of them there was a flat washer that mounted here, and then that little bolt. And either it was missing or people forgot to put it back on or something. This is a different design. This actually has a little place for the teeth to go into the sprocket and keeps it from being able to slide out to the side, because that's what was lacking on the other. So I think this is going to be okay. I hope so. The thing was a lot of money. I'd hate for it to be a piece of crap. Anyway, we'll give it a workout in a couple days, I think. I made one other purchase along with this. Bought these off Amazon. It's a 2-pack of chainsaw chains, supposedly that fit this one. They're not the most expensive chains, but I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on this whole process until I knew for sure the saw was going to be worth keeping, because I can send the saw back if it's no good. Chains, I'm going to be kind of stuck with them probably. While we're dinking with chainsaws, how about we get the old Ryobi running? Last couple times I used it, it wasn't running well, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, air cleaner." And you know what? He's right. I don't know the last time I've had the thing apart. The air filter is probably pretty disgusting. So let's clean it. Once we do that, maybe we'll sharpen the chain also. And this is the bag I carry it around in. And look how filthy it is. I kind of sort of cleaned the inside out. It was just coated with oil. There's probably a 1/4 inch oil down in it. Problem, I don't think I've ever owned a chainsaw that doesn't leak oil out of the tank, given enough time. It's been sitting in there so long. The good news is, the way this little bag is built, it has a plastic tray in the bottom that contains that oil, so I do appreciate that. So anyway, I'm gonna probably just give it a hose down, maybe scrub with a little soapy water or something. It really doesn't look bad. I think the thing is, you're supposed to replace them. I maybe need to do that. We'll just clean it up for now. Problem is, by spraying it, I'm getting dirt inside of it. We are narrowing in on the problem. So I put the air cleaner back on, tried to start it. The primer bulb was not filling up with fuel. I did get it to fire a couple times, just not running right. Wouldn't stay running, can't get started again. Primer bulb still not filling up. So I think we got a either primer bulb or fuel line issue. So we need to inspect them. So I think we need to take this plastic piece off here. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but I do see some little Torx head screws there. So we'll go ahead and pull those out. Hopefully that'll let me pull it off. I'll show you when I'm done. So I took that little cover off. That was no big deal. Had to remove the spark plug lead to get it free, and also the choke. But here's the lead coming out of the primer. And if you watch, see it? See, fuel's coming out of there. So I think the main fuel line is over on the other side, and it's dry. There's nothing in it. So I think we need to get down into the tank, and all these lines are pretty fragile. So I think we're gonna need some new fuel lines, and I'm not sure I have any lines for this thing. I don't know, I'll have to look. Anyway, I guess we'll keep digging. I've got the 2 screws out for the carburetor. I'm thinking the carburetor will pull straight up, but there's a whole plastic piece here that I think I need to get through before I can get to the fuel tank. I don't know. Let's get the carb out and see what we got. Got the carburetor out. I've got this little rubber piece out, choke piece over there. More importantly though, the fuel line. So I think this fuel line was hooked to the other side of this primer as well or something, because wherever it was hooked, it broke loose. I think it is actually broken. You can't see the end of it very well. I think it's actually broken. Now what I don't know is how to get this primer out, and that's probably where it's at. I'm not focusing real good on this, am I? All right, I'm just going to keep digging. I know I need to do some cleaning in here too. We're making progress. Got the carburetor back on. A little rubber piece here had to go in. This carburetor intake throat had to go in. Choke lever's back in. Fuel lines are hooked up. I only replaced this one fuel line here. I don't know that it had come off for sure, but it was very loose fitting, so this one is a lot snugger. I wouldn't mind replacing those other ones, but I can't get to the other end of them easily. And if that wasn't the problem, if this was the problem here, then maybe it's fixed. You know, I've always considered this Ryobi kind of a disposable saw. I paid $100 delivered for it from Home Depot, and I've certainly got my money's worth out of it. I'd like to keep using it, but I wouldn't hesitate to go out and buy another one. And I've seen a couple of them advertised on Marketplace for pretty cheap. So let's finish getting it back together and see if it starts. I got this plastic piece back in. That was a little tricky. Had to make sure this fuel line was routed right because it wasn't. And then there's a little rubber piece that fits up in there. Put the choke back together. Idle screw cover back on. So the only thing left is the air cleaner and the cover for the air cleaner, and then see if this bad boy starts. Primer feels better. All right, I did something. The throttle screwed up. It's not working. It is running though. Well, crap, with all the fumbling around, pulling the carburetor in and out. Last time I put it in there, I didn't get the throttle hooked up. You see it moving down there? Yeah, it's not in the little, you can see a little metal piece right next to it. That's what it's supposed to be in. So is there any way of getting it in there without tearing everything apart? Probably not. But at least I know how to do it now. So let me get to work on it. Good news, I barely had to disassemble. I basically just had to take out this piece right here and the 2 carburetor screws. And then on the choke, there's these funny little, they're like fuel lines that go through this carburetor and into this plastic piece here. I don't know what their purpose is, but they got to be there. Anyway, they make you can't really move the carburetor until you pull those out, but now I know that. So anyway, we've got it hooked back up. Throttle, I think, will work. We just need to tighten everything down. Take two. Ah. All right, we're happier with that. I still need to do the chain. Coming up on 6 o'clock, we're done for the day. It's Tuesday, just afternoon, headed over to rental number 2. Still have a project after the water line fix over there. I still have to backfill the holes. I didn't get over there last week and work on it at all. So yesterday I stopped by to take a look at things. The tenant had actually done me a favor and filled in the holes with the dirt that I had dug out, which was very helpful. Unfortunately, there's still a lot more that needs to go in there. And so I ran a hose into the holes yesterday to pack the dirt down and get a better idea how much more dirt is needed, and it's quite a bit. So I just used my loader and I filled up 4 tubs and a bunch of 5-gallon buckets. So we're headed over there, gonna dump that, run some more water, pack it down, and then we'll probably have to do that one more time or maybe 2 more times. I'll do it one more time today for sure. We'll just have to wait and see how time is going. So that's it. Here's the work zone. So I still got to finish filling that one in, filling that one in. The big one is this one over here. Let's get to it. We're dumping this dirt into that wheelbarrow and then rolling it back. Load number 1 is complete, dropped off. Got some water down in here to help settle a little bit. And then over here we're in pretty good shape. I'd say that one's completely filled in. That one's mostly filled in. So I think one more load of just the 4 tubs should do it. Just completed our second trip and last trip. Got that pretty well filled in. It may settle a little bit over time. That's fine. And this area over here, looking good. I also hauled away some branches, trash branches that were stacked up over there. Last thing to do, pull my truck forward, take the leaf blower, and blow my dirt residue up into there. Then we're going home. It's Wednesday morning around 11 a.m. and we're back down in the shop, and we need to get prepared for tomorrow's tree cutting project. So I'm starting to lay stuff out that we're taking over to the rental. My new chainsaw, my pole saw, that's my old pole saw mounted to my new weed whacker head, both DeWalt. And then back to the Ryobi here. I need to tighten the chain, sharpen the chain, and then the case there, I was going to clean that case up. The problem is if I wash it now, it's going to be wet. Probably still will do that because I'd like to be able to get everything back in it. Maybe if I get it washed up soon, leave it out in the sun, I'll have time to dry. So I'm not going to bore you with sharpening the chain, but that's what I'm going to do right now. The good news is this saw is ready to go. The bad news is somewhere I have misplaced my little battery-powered Dremel tool, and so I had to use my plug-in-the-wall Dremel tool. Not the end of the world, but I'd sure like to find it before tomorrow so I can take it with me. Also, the case that this goes in, I went ahead and I cleaned it up with kitchen dish soap and a little scrub brush. It's drying now. Looks 100% better. Moving on to the big boy, the 24-inch Husqvarna Rancher. All right, this one just needs a chain sharpened and tightened. All right, can you tell? Chain is sharpened. I didn't have to tighten the chain. It was good and snug. I also cleaned out the storage box. And I tried something new. I've got 2 chains in the bottom that are all flattened out. And then I put a towel in on top of them so the chain won't be beaten on them all the time. And those are spare chains, and usually I kind of drop them down in here, and the problem is that next time I take the saw out, they flop around, and then I have to move them again to put them back. So we're trying something new. I like this case because it has enough room for a quart container of fuel and bar oil. And then it also has storage built in here for other tools and stuff. Usually I just leave them drop down in there. So this one's ready to go. So what do you think? Is that a pretty good pile of stuff I need to take over tomorrow? Is that everything I need? Yeah, mostly. I still need to cut some plywood to cover a couple of windows, and maybe not cut all of them. Maybe I'll just lean a couple of them up. So, but first we need to go over there and measure the windows. So next thing I need to do, get that trailer cleaned off, move stuff away from it, get it hooked up to this truck, and get it set up so we can load the tractor on it. It's Wednesday morning around 5:30 a.m. Headed to Home Depot to pick up a piece of rental equipment. Let's hope they have it in stock. I don't know if I mentioned this the other day, but I learned that Home Depot, at least here, will not reserve the equipment. So first come, first serve. So they open at 6 a.m. We're going to be there at 6 a.m. 5:45 a.m. we made it down to the rental spot, and the lift is here, so we just need to be first to rent it. It's Thursday, about 11:30 a.m., and while I should be over at the rental working on trees with my brother, Home Depot screwed me over. And I'm blaming them fully. So this morning, you saw, I was there, ready to rent the equipment, got in there. Guy asked me a couple questions. Actually, the first question was, what kind of surface are you using this on? And I said grass. That was the wrong answer. I should have said asphalt or concrete. And because I said grass, sorry, can't help you. You know, I read their description online. Nowhere did it say that it had to be used on asphalt or concrete. And it talked about using it to prune trees and stuff. So how many times are you going to be parked on concrete pruning trees anyway? So I was pretty disappointed. And so anyway, I drove up the road, a couple rental places just up the road. They didn't open until 7. So I parked at one of them, and I took a peek in their lot, saw something that might work, looked on their website. The problem is the lightest thing they had was 11,500 pounds for an off-road capable lift. And my trailer technically is only rated for about 11,200 pounds capacity. And then during that time, I'm texting my brother, who I told not to bother to come to town until I knew I had the equipment secured. And he was saying, yeah, I tried to rent something from Star Rental, a lift, and they wouldn't because I wasn't a contractor. So that was the other place I was going to check. So at that point, I'm like, what to do. And then I remembered that my neighbor had offered to loan me his telehandler, and the reason I had not accepted it was because it was kind of sketchy being up on a telehandler. But now that I bought some scaffolding, I think I can take the scaffolding platform and mount it to the telehandler, and I'll feel reasonably safe doing that. So that's the plan. So I've spent the morning coordinating that with my neighbor, And then also my brother is going to be unavailable next week. And so I've got another friend that's going to come help me out. So I've got that all coordinated. So what are we doing in the meantime? Well, we're going to go pick up my John Deere tractor because I just don't want to leave it over there. Although nothing I'm sure would happen to it. I just feel better that if it's on my property since it's my tractor. So we're going to go get it. Maybe I'll show you some of that. Maybe I won't. Doesn't really matter. Bottom line is we're not getting anything done today. That's it. We've reached the end. Sorry, kind of anticlimactic, right? That's okay though. This is the kind of content that Procrastination Garage really is all about. Tinkering around down in the shop, getting things done, and I think I did that this video. Just little things, but baby steps here and there. More stuff coming down the pike. Hey, do me a favor down in the comments. Tell me about the things you're working on or the things you're procrastinating about. Remember, the number one goal of Procrastination Garage is to keep me motivated, to keep me doing stuff down here in the shop. Either that or out in the yard, playing up in the hills, just whatever. Remember, my name is Matt. This is Procrastination Garage. Try and put out a video every week. I'm not doing a very good job. It's kind of like every 2 weeks. I hope you'll check back soon, and we'll see you then. Thanks.